Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let us bring us back to this topic here. First of all, thank you. I'm so encouraged to hear the conversation today. I've heard the word crisis mentioned twice. I've heard sense of urgency mentioned several times. As an ex-business guy and seeing this crisis, I am terribly encouraged by what you all are doing. I've met you and we've had private conversation. Secretary Wilson yesterday was so gracious with her time talking about a major Air Force base and major piece of technology. I want to talk about something a little different. Secretary Esper, you mentioned first in your opening comment in 1941. And we built up, not in years, but in months, literally. We had things coming off the production lines literally in months because we broke through everything because we considered it a crisis. But in 1949, just 3 years after we demilitarized after World War II, we were right back in the same position. And that war was a little different and so forth. But today, we find ourselves in crisis. I'm not going to spend time, I don't have time describing the crisis, but after 30 years of disinvestment and only one major recap, and after 16 years of active combat, I believe we've got a crisis. The global situation is more dangerous than it's ever been. We've got a debt crisis here. We've got a near rival that's now going to be a full rival that's actually spending more money than we are in real terms, adjusted for purchasing power parity. General Mattis says that there are 3 phases to solve this problem, and you've each spoken about it in different ways. There's a 3-year term of readiness. We've got to get readiness recovered. There's a 15 to 25-year plan for new technology and recap and the full bloom of U.S. innovation and technology with regard to providing for national security. At the same time, China is coming online. It's not going to take 15 years before a lot of their new technology is hitting. They have leapfrogged major areas of restrictions. They bring product online much cheaper than we do, much quicker than we do, and with far less restriction and government intervention. I'm worried about the shoulder season from year 3 to year 12. And I would like for you to, I think, Secretary Lloyd, if you'll start with this, I'm really concerned about how do we find quick, low-cost solutions for the battlefield. I'd like a combatant commander representatives from Army, Navy, and Air Force to comment on this as well, because I'm very concerned that we've got our eyes out here. We're looking at where the money is needed, and yet these high-cost solutions, flying F-35s into battle space where an A-29 might be okay. I'm not saying we're doing that, but those types of examples, J-STARS, you mentioned J-STARS just a minute ago, great long-term capability. We've got a dying platform right now. Technology, the battle spaces are changing. That interim period, that's a perfect example of where I don't personally see the Air Force or anybody else really moving toward that interim solution in a way that gives me comfort with a low-cost, current technology platform that's better than what we have, more cost-effective than what we have, but doesn't get in the way and take money away from long-term development. Would you address that?
Two-part answer to the question. One, I would really like to come back and in a different setting, in a classified setting,
that's fair,
talk to you about some of the programs going on.
I look forward to that.
But secondly, what you're talking about is exactly what DIUX, SCO, and the Rapid Capabilities Office are doing. And we should come back and tell you about some of those successes. What we have to figure out how to do is scale that. And right now we haven't scaled it, because probably the best meeting I go to in the Pentagon is something called the Warfighters Senior Integration Group, where we sit down every 2 weeks and we have on VTC, Afghanistan every 2 weeks, and then the other 2 weeks Iraq, and we talk up to the warfighter about what is going on today and what they need in terms of rapid capabilities. This is what has spun out an enormous amount of counter-UAS equipment, and that has been fast. JIDO's come up with that. So we can do this, but we do it on a small scale, and that's what this reorg is all about, in my mind, is getting away from the 5,000 process, other than the very complex areas where we might need some of that, but just use the little bit of process we need to get stuff out the door.
So, Secretary Esper, would you comment on, I'm out of time, I'd love to hear from all of you, but I would love to have you respond to that, all of you respond to that question after the meeting.
Yes, sir, because it's a great question. I just connect a couple dots from the historical example. The key here is changing culture.
Okay. Oh, so, thank you.
So, Senator, the key is changing culture. At the end of the day, we have to change the culture. That's what came out of the 2011 Decker-Wagner Acquisition Reform Report. That's the most crucial element. And the way the Army is getting at this is standing up the Army Futures Command to do just that. Take an approach that says, let's not make the perfect the enemy the better. Let's prototype, demonstrate, learn. Let's fail early. Let's fail cheaply. And let's go with the 80% solution. Get something fielded. The view is if we can stand up the organization, the command quickly, get that unity of effort and unity of command, get some early wins under our belt, we can start changing the culture so that we're ready, positioned, posture to begin looking simultaneously at those mid and far-term threats that you described.
And how long have we been fooling around with future combat systems?
Well, thank goodness it's in our rearview mirror now, Mr. Chairman.